The sky didn't just fall that night, it shattered. Flames tore through the heavens like claws, streaking molten light across the black velvet of midnight. Villagers poured into the streets of Corvain, eyes wide, mouths open in silent horror. A single burning object descended tumbling, screaming against the wind before crashing into the cliffs beyond the northern ridge. The earth shuddered as though the bones of the world had cracked. Leora was the only one who dared to run toward it. Her heartbeat pounded like war drums as she climbed the steep path, the smell of charred air filling her lungs. Her fingers were scraped raw, her boots slick with frost, but she didn't stop. She had seen something in the flames, something no one else had noticed. At the cliff's edge, the wind howled through her hair, carrying ash that glimmered like gold dust. Below, in the crater's heart, lay a crown unlike any mortal craft. It was wrought from a metal that shifted in color as she stared, bronze to crimson to deep, black, its surface pulsing faintly as though alive, and in its center a single gemstone blazed with an inner fire, like the trapped heart of a dying star. She stepped forward, unable to resist. The moment her fingers brushed the crown, a voice tore through her mind, deep, ancient, and unbearably loud. "Daughter of Ash, the phoenix has fallen. You will rise in its place." Her vision erupted into light. She saw endless deserts of burning glass, oceans swallowed by storms of fire, and a city suspended in the clouds, its towers made of living flame. Then it was gone. When she came to, the crown was gone, but the mark it left was burned into her palm, glowing faintly like embers. The next morning, Corvain was swarming with strangers cloaked in red and black. They spoke no words, only carried banners marked with a golden bird engulfed in fire. The villagers whispered in fear. The Ashen Order had come. Leora's grandmother pulled her into the cellar, eyes trembling with urgency. "You must never speak of what you saw," she hissed. "The Phoenix Crown brings death to all who touch it. You've doomed yourself." But Leora didn't need warning. She could feel it already, the faint rhythmic throb in her palm, as if a heartbeat other than her own now pulsed there. Somewhere beyond the horizon something had awakened, and it was coming for her. Leora awoke to the sound of boots on wet cobblestone. It was barely dawn, yet the streets of Corvain pulsed with an uneasy rhythm, marching, measured, deliberate. She peeked through the cellar slats and saw them. The Ashen Order moved like a tide of shadows, their crimson cloaks heavy with frost, faces hidden behind masks shaped like beaks of flamebirds. Each carried a long halberd, tipped with black steel that seemed to drink the morning light. They weren't searching at random. They were hunting. Her grandmother's hand clamped over her mouth. "Don't breathe too loud." A shadow passed over their hiding place. Through the gaps, Leora caught the glint of a golden sigil on the nearest soldier's chest, a phoenix mid-flight. Its wings made of fire. The sight sent a pulse of heat through her palm, the same burning mark she had tried all night to scrub away. It hadn't faded. The soldiers stopped before their door. "Open," came a voice like molten stone. Her grandmother limped up, opening the door with a brittle smile. "What business has the Order here?" she asked, playing the role of harmless elder. "We seek the one touched by the crown," the masked man said. "A great sin has awakened, and its vessel must be claimed." Leora stayed frozen, every muscle locked. They searched the house, boots thudding overhead, drawers slammed, doors creaking. When one soldier moved toward the cellar hatch, the mark in her palm flared hot, so intense she bit her lip to keep from crying out. Then, just as his hand touched the hatch, another soldier outside called, "Captain, we found something." The cellar hatch creaked shut. The sound of boots retreated. Leora exhaled for the first time in what felt like hours. When the Order finally left, her grandmother pressed a satchel into her arms. Inside were dried rations, a water skin, and a silver dagger etched with runes. "You must leave Corvain tonight," she said. "The crown's fire binds to its bearer until either you or it burns to ash. They will not stop hunting." Leora swallowed hard. "Where do I go?" Her grandmother's voice dropped to a whisper. "Seek the Ember Vault in the ruins of Kelthorn. Only there will you find the truth, or your end." That night, under a moon smothered by clouds, Leora slipped through the northern gate. But she wasn't alone. From the rooftops, unseen eyes tracked her every step, and far to the east, the Ashen Order's black banners unfurled in the wind, chasing the scent of burning fate. The ruins of Kelthorn rose from the earth like the bones of some long-dead beast. Once a city of scholars and artisans, it now lay in silent decay. Its towers cracked open like hollow teeth, streets swallowed by creeping vines. The air was thick with the scent of damp stone and something else. Faint, metallic, almost like burnt copper. Leora's boots crunched on scattered tiles as she moved deeper into the heart of the ruins. Every shadow seemed to shift when she looked away. The wind whispered through shattered arches, carrying scraps of voices she couldn't quite understand. The mark in her palm burned hotter with each step. She reached what had once been Kelthorne's Grand Plaza. At its center yawned a black, circular pit, perfectly smooth, as if carved not by tools but by something molten. Ancient runes ringed its edge, glowing faintly with embers. The Ember Vault, she breathed. A whisper curled through her mind, the same voice she had heard the night of the crown's fall. Closer. Against all reason, she obeyed. The moment she stepped over the runes, the pit's surface rippled like liquid glass. Her reflection stared back at her, but her eyes blazed like twin suns, and the crown rested upon her head in the image. "You found it," said a voice behind her. Leora spun, dagger drawn. A man stood at the edge of the plaza, draped in a long black coat, his hair silver as frost, eyes the color of smoldering coal. He carried no weapon, yet his presence was heavier than any blade. "Who are you?" she demanded. "I am Kalen," he said, stepping forward. "The last Phoenix Knight." Her breath caught. The Phoenix Knights were said to have perished centuries ago, guardians of the mythical crown before the Ashen Order's rise. "The crown has chosen you," Kalen said, his gaze fixed on her glowing palm. "But it will consume you unless you master it. That mark is a spark. It will either ignite your rebirth or your destruction." Before she could speak, the wind shifted. From the far end of the plaza, figures emerged, red cloaks, black masks, halberds gleaming. The Ashen Order had found them. Kalen's hand shot out, gripping hers. "Into the vault now." The surface of the pit shuddered, swallowing them whole. Darkness closed over her, and the sensation of falling was replaced by the rush of fire in her veins. She landed hard, surrounded by a cavern of molten walls, the air alive with the roar of unseen flames. Somewhere ahead, beyond the molten glow, something moved, large, graceful, and burning from within. It stepped from the molten light like a living flame. The creature's feathers shimmered between gold and scarlet, each one glowing at the edges as though dipped in sunrise. Its eyes burned brighter than the sun, yet they held an impossible sadness, an echo of centuries gone. With each movement, ash drifted from its wings, vanishing before it touched the ground. Leora froze. "Is that?" Kalen bowed his head. "The phoenix, or what remains of it." The bird tilted its head, studying her. When it spoke, the words bypassed her ears and seared straight into her mind. "The crown you touched was my heart, torn from me by the Ashen Order's betrayal. Without it, I am only shadow." Leora felt the heat in her palm intensify. "Why me?" "Because you are unburnt," it answered. "The fire did not destroy you. It chose you." Before she could ask more, a violent tremor ripped through the cavern. Molten walls cracked, spilling rivers of glowing rock. The phoenix spread its wings, sending a burst of heat that shoved her back. "They've breached the vault," Kalen said grimly. From the tunnel they'd entered, the Ashen Order poured in, masks gleaming, weapons raised. Their leader stepped forward, his armor black as obsidian, his mask fashioned into a snarling phoenix face. He carried a spear whose tip burned with black fire. "Return the crown's spark," he commanded, voice like thunder, "or be extinguished." The phoenix let out a cry so piercing it rattled the stones. Flames surged around it, forming a barrier between Leora and the advancing soldiers. But the barrier was weakening, flickering under the assault of the black-flamed spear. Kalen drew his sword, silver, inscribed with the same runes as Leora's dagger, and met the first wave of soldiers. Sparks flew, steel clashing against steel. "Leora!" Kalen shouted over the roar. "You must decide. Merge with the phoenix now or we both die." Her chest tightened. Merging meant surrendering herself, her body, her soul, to a force she barely understood. But the black fire was advancing, eating away at the molten ground beneath her feet. The phoenix's voice filled her mind again. "Your fear will burn away. Only the flame will remain." Her hand trembled as she stepped toward the great bird. The moment her palm touched its chest, the world vanished in a burst of white-hot fire. When her vision returned, she was standing in the cavern. But Kalen was staring at her in awe, and her reflection shimmered in the molten walls. Eyes blazing gold, wings of fire spreading from her shoulders. The fire was no longer around her, it was her. Flames curled along Leora's arms like living serpents, her breath exhaling sparks that shimmered in the molten air. The cavern blazed brighter with every heartbeat, the heat bending the stone into strange, shifting shapes. She could feel the phoenix inside her, not as a voice now, but as a second pulse, steady and fierce. The Ashen Order froze for a single breath, their black masks reflecting her fiery form. Then their leader raised the black-flamed spear and roared, "Burn her down!" They surged forward. Leora moved without thought. Her wings swept wide and a wall of golden fire erupted, slamming into the soldiers with a force that sent them staggering. Kalen fought beside her, his silver blade flashing like lightning in the molten light. The leader struck, his spear lashing out with shadows that hissed and spat against her fire. Each blow dimmed her flames a fraction, the black fire biting deeper into her strength. But the phoenix's pulse beat within her, urging her on. "Do not fight as a girl with a weapon," the ancient voice whispered inside her mind. "Fight as the flame itself." She closed her eyes, feeling the fire within spread beyond her skin, beyond the cavern. When she opened them again, she was everywhere. Heat in the stones, light in the molten rivers, embers in the air. She was the vault. With a cry that shook the earth, she struck. Her fire engulfed the black spear, consuming its shadow. The leader screamed as the flames tore through him, shattering his mask and revealing eyes wide with terror before he dissolved into ash. The remaining soldiers faltered. One by one, they dropped their weapons and fled into the tunnels, their crimson cloaks trailing behind them. Silence fell. Kalen lowered his sword, his chest heaving. "You've done what no Phoenix Knight could since the Order's betrayal. You've returned the fire to its rightful bearer." But Leora knew the truth. She was the bearer now. The Phoenix was part of her, its destiny entwined with hers. The molten walls began to cool, the cavern dimming. The Phoenix's voice echoed faintly in her thoughts. "You have been reborn, but fire does not rest, it spreads. Beyond these ruins, other shadows wait, and they will come." She looked at Kalen, then toward the dark tunnel leading out of the vault. The path ahead was uncertain, but the flame within her burned steady. "Then let them come," she said, her wings folding into embers. "I am ready." And together they stepped into the darkness, carrying the light of the Phoenix crown into a world waiting to burn or be reborn.